There is a field inside your DNA that science cannot fully explain. Not the genes that gave you your eye color or the shape of your hands, but something deeper, something encoded in the spaces between the code itself. And right now, in this moment, something in that field is shifting. You did not arrive at this by accident. You did not stumble here through a random suggestion or an idle scroll. Something older than your conscious mind brought you to this exact point, and if you stay, you will begin to understand why. Most people think of inheritance as a simple transfer. Your parents gave you certain traits, their parents gave them certain traits, and so on, stretching backward in a neat line. But that model, as clean as it looks on a chart, misses almost everything that matters. Because what you actually carry in your body is not just a set of biological instructions. It is a living archive, a record of survival, of adaptation, of every crisis your lineage ever faced and somehow moved through. And the most remarkable part, the part that changes everything once you truly grasp it, is that this archive is not sealed. It is not finished. It is active. It is responding to you right now, to your thoughts, to your emotional state, to the way you hold your breath when you are afraid, and the way your chest opens when you feel safe. Your ancestors did not just give you life. They gave you a library, and that library has a book in it that only you can open. Let me take you somewhere specific, because this is not philosophy. This is biology, and it is stranger than almost anyone realizes. In the early 2000s, a research team in Sweden did something remarkable. They studied the Överkalix cohort, a population in a remote parish in northern Sweden where meticulous harvest records had been kept going back to the 1800s. What they found overturned a fundamental assumption in genetics. They discovered that the nutritional experiences of grandparents, specifically whether they had lived through feast or famine during a critical window just before puberty, directly affected the health outcomes of their grandchildren. Not through parenting, not through culture, through biology. A grandfather who had gorged during a season of abundance produced grandchildren with significantly higher rates of diabetes and cardiovascular disease. A grandmother who had survived scarcity produced grandchildren with altered metabolic profiles that persisted across generations. The experiences of people who had been dead for decades were still writing instructions in the bodies of the living. This is not metaphor. This is the field of transgenerational epigenetics, and it has quietly dismantled the idea that you are a blank slate shaped only by your own lifetime. The mechanism is real and measurable. Chemical tags, primarily methyl groups, attach to DNA and alter gene expression without changing the genetic code itself. They are like volume knobs on a mixing board. The song stays the same, but which instruments are loud and which are silent changes dramatically based on what happened to the people who came before you. And these tags, these epigenetic markers, can be passed from parent to child, and from that child to their child, carrying forward the biological memory of events that no one alive personally experienced. Sit with that for a moment. Your body is running programs that were written by experiences you never had, famines you never starved through, wars you never fled, losses you never grieved. They are in you anyway, not as stories, as chemistry. If this is already shifting something in the way you see yourself, take a moment to hit that like button and subscribe to this channel so you do not miss what comes next. Now here is where this becomes something more than a research finding. Here is where it becomes the key to something you may have been feeling for a long time without having words for it. Have you ever had a fear that does not match your biography? A reaction so deep and so fast that it seems to bypass your thinking mind entirely? Maybe it is a fear of scarcity that persists no matter how stable your circumstances become. Maybe it is a vigilance, a watchfulness, a sense that something is about to go wrong even when nothing is wrong. Maybe it is a pattern in your relationships, a way you shut down or a way you cling that does not trace back to anything you consciously remember. You have looked for the origin. You have gone through your childhood, your early memories, your formative experiences, and sometimes you find a partial explanation, but sometimes you find nothing. The reaction is there, powerful and immediate, and it has no story attached to it, no memory, no scene you can point to and say, "That is where this started." What if it did not start with you? What if that fear, that pattern, that deep reflexive response is ancestral code still running? Not because something is wrong with you, but because your body is doing exactly what it was designed to do, carrying forward the survival intelligence of your entire line. The problem is not that the code exists. The problem is that you have been trying to override it with willpower or analyze it with your conscious mind when it lives in a layer of your biology that neither willpower nor analysis can reach directly. This is the first thing to understand. You are not just you. You are the leading edge of a lineage, the latest expression of a chain of consciousness that stretches back further than you can trace. And that chain is not passive. It is not a dead record gathering dust. It is alive in your nervous system, in your stress responses, in the way your body tenses or relaxes in situations that your thinking mind cannot fully explain. Your ancestors are not behind you. They are inside you. And something in that ancient code is trying to come online right now. I want to pause here and ask you something. What is the one pattern in your life that has never made sense given your own experiences? If you have ever felt something get close and then fall apart, that is not bad luck. That is a pattern. And patterns have a source. There is something underneath all of it, quietly running the show. I am hosting a free live transmission where I walk you through exactly what that is and how to finally shift it at the root. The link to register is in the description below. Save your seat. The moment you see this, you will understand why you could not see it before. The one reaction you have never been able to trace back to a specific memory. Share it in the comments below, because naming it is the first step toward meeting it consciously. There is a concept in quantum biology that makes this even more extraordinary, and I want to walk through it carefully because it is easy to overstate, and I want to stay on solid ground. Quantum coherence has been observed in biological systems in ways that classical physics said should be impossible. The most well-documented case is in photosynthesis. When a photon of light hits a chlorophyll molecule, the energy does not travel through the molecular structure the way a ball rolls down a hill, testing one path at a time. Instead, it enters a state of quantum superposition, exploring all possible pathways simultaneously and arriving at the reaction center with near-perfect efficiency. This was confirmed in a landmark 2007 study published in Nature by Fleming and colleagues at Berkeley. Biological systems, living systems, appear to use quantum effects to process information in ways that are vastly more sophisticated than classical mechanics would allow. Now, no one has yet proven that human DNA operates through quantum coherence in the same measurable way. That research is still in its early stages, but the principle it reveals is profound, and it maps onto something you can feel in your own experience if you pay close attention. The principle is this: living systems do not process information in a simple linear sequence. They explore multiple states simultaneously. They hold paradox. They operate in a space where a thing can be both this and that until observation collapses it into one expression. And your DNA, with its billions of base pairs and its epigenetic overlay, is the most complex information processing system in the known universe. The idea that it operates purely through mechanical, classical processes is not just unlikely. Given what we now know about quantum biology, it is increasingly difficult to defend. What does this mean for you, sitting here, listening to this? It means that the ancestral information in your body is not a fixed program. It is a field of possibility. The epigenetic tags that your grandparents' experiences wrote into your biology are not permanent tattoos. They are more like settings on a dial, and the dial can be turned. This has been demonstrated in laboratory conditions. In a now famous experiment at Emory University, researchers trained mice to associate the scent of acetophenone, which smells like cherry blossoms, with an electric shock. The mice developed a fear response to that specific scent. Then the researchers bred those mice. The offspring, who had never been exposed to the scent or the shock, showed a heightened, startled response to acetophenone. Not to other scents, to that one. The fear had been inherited biologically. But here is the part of the study that matters most for what we are exploring. When the offspring were repeatedly exposed to the scent without the shock, the fear response diminished. The epigenetic marker faded. The inherited pattern could be rewritten through new experience. Your body works the same way. The ancestral patterns you carry are not your destiny. They are your starting position. They are the default settings that your lineage installed based on what it needed to survive. But you are not in the same environment your ancestors were in. You are not fleeing the same dangers, facing the same famines, navigating the same threats. And the extraordinary thing about being human, the thing that separates your situation from those mice in a laboratory, is that you do not need an external researcher to change your exposure. You can change it yourself. You can become the new experience that rewrites the code, but not through thinking about it. This is where most people get stuck. They understand the concept intellectually. They nod along. They find it fascinating. And then they go right back to running the old programs, because understanding a pattern and dissolving a pattern are two completely different acts. One happens in the prefrontal cortex. The other happens in the body. Let me tell you what happens in the body when an ancestral pattern is active, because recognizing it is the first step toward shifting it. The pattern does not announce itself with a label. It does not say, "This is your grandmother's grief," or "This is the vigilance your great-grandfather developed during the war." It shows up as sensation, a tightening in the throat that comes when you try to speak your truth, a heaviness in the chest that arrives in moments of stillness, as if your body is bracing for something, a restlessness that will not let you sit with silence, a sudden wave of sadness that has no obvious cause, a contraction in the gut when abundance appears, as if some part of you does not believe it is safe to receive. These are not your neuroses. These are not your failures. These are ancestral signals, still broadcasting on frequencies that were set long before you were born. And the reason they feel so powerful, so much bigger than the situation that triggers them, is because they are bigger than the situation. They are carrying the weight of generations. When you feel a fear that seems disproportionate to what is actually happening, you are not overreacting. You are reacting accurately to a threat that existed in a different time, in a different body, but whose echo is still reverberating in your cells. There is a teaching in many indigenous traditions that maps onto this with startling precision. In the Lakota tradition, there is a concept sometimes translated as the blood memory, the understanding that wisdom, trauma, and spiritual power all travel through the bloodline, and that each generation has a responsibility not only to heal what was wounded, but to activate what was gifted. The Yoruba tradition speaks of the ancestral ori, the spiritual head, which carries the accumulated consciousness of the lineage and which must be honored and aligned with for a person to walk their true path. In Celtic traditions, the idea of the ancestral well, a deep source of knowing that can be accessed through ritual, dream, and stillness, reflects the same understanding. These are not primitive beliefs that modern science has outgrown. They are sophisticated maps of a territory that Western science is only now beginning to chart with its own instruments. And what those traditions understood, what the epigenetic research confirms, is that the relationship between you and your ancestors is not one-directional. You did not simply receive from them. You are in active dialogue with them. Every choice you make, every pattern you interrupt, every moment of awareness you bring to an unconscious reaction changes the epigenetic expression in your own body. And if you have children, or if you influence the field around you in any way, that change ripples forward. You are not just healing yourself. You are editing the code for everyone who comes after you. And in some sense, that quantum non-locality hints at, but that we do not yet fully understand, you may be editing it backward as well. This is not a comfortable idea for the linear mind. The linear mind wants cause to precede effect. It wants the past to be sealed and the future to be open. But quantum mechanics has been challenging that assumption for a century. John Wheeler's delayed choice experiment, first proposed in 1978 and confirmed in laboratory conditions multiple times since, demonstrated that the act of observation can retroactively determine the path a photon took, even after it has already traveled through the apparatus. The measurement made now changes what happened then. The present reaches back and rewrites the past. If this is true at the quantum level, and it is, the experimental evidence is unambiguous, then the idea that your present state of consciousness might influence the ancestral field you carry is not mysticism. It is a reasonable extension of established physics into the domain of biology and awareness. When you bring conscious attention to an inherited pattern, when you feel it fully without flinching and choose a different response, you are not just making a personal decision. You are performing an act of temporal healing. You are reaching back through the line and offering a different ending to a story that has been repeating for generations. If you are feeling the weight of these inherited signals, there is something deeper I want to offer you. Have you spent years chasing manifestation, visualizing, affirming, raising your vibration, only to watch the same patterns repeat? Every traditional method assumes the same thing, that you are separate from what you want. That separation was never real. You were chasing a signal you were already broadcasting. Beyond the frequencies, a quantum guide to consciousness mastery walks through all 9 frequencies, from the dense transmissions trapping you, through the ascending currents, to the master frequencies where consciousness becomes the field. Every method you tried, sent a signal outward. This one tunes the signal you already are. Every day you delay, your nervous system broadcasts the same old signal, and breaking free gets harder. So move on it tonight. The link is in the pinned comment below. Now let us bring this back into the room where you are sitting right now. Let me bring this down from the theoretical and into the room where you are sitting right now. Think of a pattern in your life that you have tried to change and failed. Not a habit, not something surface level like going to bed earlier or eating differently. Something structural. A way you relate to love. A way you respond to authority. A way you handle conflict or avoid it. A belief about what you deserve or what is possible for you. Something that feels like bedrock, like it was there before you had language to describe it. Now ask yourself this question, and do not rush past it. Does this pattern feel like mine, or does it feel like something I inherited? Most people, when they sit with this honestly, feel the difference immediately. There are patterns that clearly belong to your personal history, things you can trace to a specific event, a specific relationship, a specific wound. And then there are patterns that feel older, deeper, patterns that seem to come from below the floor of your own memory. These are the ones that resist cognitive therapy, that survive every insight, that reassemble themselves no matter how many times you think you have understood them. They resist because they are not stored in the part of you that thinks. They are stored in the part of you that breathes, that digests, that flinches, that reaches. They are in the body. They are in the blood, and they require a different kind of attention to shift. I am curious about something. As you sit with this, have you ever had a moment where you suddenly felt an emotion or a knowing that you realized could not possibly have come from your own life experience? Tell me about it in the comments. These moments of recognition are more common than most people admit, and hearing yours might help someone else finally understand what they have been carrying. Here is what that attention looks like, and I want to be precise about this because vague instructions produce vague results. The next time you notice one of these deep patterns activating, and you will know it by the speed and intensity of the reaction, by the way it seems to hijack your nervous system before your conscious mind can intervene. I want you to do something counterintuitive. Do not try to stop it. Do not try to understand it. Do not try to replace it with a positive thought. Instead, locate it in your body. Find where it lives physically. It will have a location, a texture, a temperature, a shape. It might be a knot below your sternum, a band of pressure around your skull, a hollowness in your pelvis, a burning in your hands. Find it, and then do the hardest thing. Stay with it. Breathe into it. Not to fix it, not to dissolve it, just to be with it, to witness it. What you are doing in that moment is something your ancestors could not do. You are bringing conscious awareness to a pattern that has been running on automatic for generations. You are becoming the observer. And in quantum mechanics, observation changes everything. The wave function does not collapse until something watches. The particle does not choose a position until it is measured. And the ancestral pattern does not begin to shift until someone in the line stops running from it long enough to look at it directly. This is what it means for your ancestral power to wake up. It does not mean you suddenly gain supernatural abilities. It does not mean you become someone you are not. It means you stop being unconsciously driven by programs you did not write, and you start consciously engaging with the full depth of what you carry. The fears become information instead of commands. The contractions become signals instead of sentences. The old survival strategies, brilliant as they were for the conditions that created them, get updated for the conditions you actually live in now. There is a phenomenon in genetics called genetic recombination, and it happens during the formation of reproductive cells. Segments of DNA from each parent cross over and exchange material, creating new combinations that have never existed before. Every person born is, at the genetic level, a novel arrangement. Not a copy, a remix, a new possibility that the lineage has never tried. You are not a repetition of your ancestors. You are their experiment. You are the combination they never got to be. And the question your existence is asking is not whether you can escape your inheritance, but whether you can fulfill it. Whether you can take everything they gave you, the gifts and the wounds, the resilience and the fear, and synthesize it into something none of them could have created alone. This is what I mean when I say your bloodline is waking up. It is not a mystical event happening to you from the outside. It is an evolutionary event happening through you from the inside. You are the point in the line where unconscious inheritance becomes conscious choice. You are the place where the pattern either repeats or transforms. And the fact that you are here, listening to this, feeling something stir in response to these words, is itself evidence that the transformation is already underway. Because a pattern that is not ready to shift does not seek out the information that would shift it. The very impulse that brought you here is the ancestral intelligence beginning to reorganize. Let me go deeper into the science for a moment, because there is a layer to this that most people never encounter, and it changes the entire picture. In 2012, a team of researchers at the University of Cambridge published findings on what they called transgenerational epigenetic inheritance in C. elegans, a simple roundworm that is one of the most studied organisms in biology. They found that epigenetic changes induced by environmental conditions could persist for at least 3 to 5 generations, and in some cases longer, even when the environmental trigger was removed. The worm's great-great-grandchildren were still expressing genetic modifications that had been prompted by conditions their ancestors faced. But the most striking finding was about the mechanism of transmission. The epigenetic information was being carried not just through the standard chromosomal DNA, but through small RNA molecules, tiny fragments of genetic material that could move between cells and even between organisms, carrying regulatory instructions that altered gene expression in recipients. Small RNAs. Think about what that means. Information traveling not through the rigid structure of the double helix, but through mobile, fluid, almost messenger-like particles that can cross boundaries and deliver instructions. This is not the static, mechanical genome that 20th century biology described. This is a living, communicating, responsive information network. And it is inside you right now, processing signals from your environment, your emotional state, your thoughts, and deciding which genes to amplify and which to silence based on the totality of information it is receiving. Your inner state is not separate from your biology. Your inner state is a biological signal. When you sit in chronic fear, your body reads that as a survival environment and activates the epigenetic programs that match: inflammation, hypervigilance, suppressed immunity, shortened telomeres. When you cultivate genuine safety, not the idea of safety, but the felt experience of it in your nervous system, your body reads that as a different environment entirely and begins to express different code. The genes do not change. The expression changes, and that expression, the version of your genetic potential that is actually active in your cells right now is the version that gets passed forward. This is why the inner work is not optional. This is why meditation is not a luxury. This is why the practice of bringing conscious awareness to your inherited patterns is not self-indulgence. It is the most consequential thing you can do. Because you are not just managing your own psychology, you are curating the biological legacy of your entire line. Every moment of genuine presence, every time you meet an ancestral fear with awareness instead of reactivity, you are literally rewriting the instructions that your body will pass to the future. And this brings us to something that indigenous wisdom keepers have said for thousands of years, and that the Western mind is only now beginning to hear. Healing is not individual. It moves in all directions through time. When you heal something in yourself, you heal it in the line. Not metaphorically, epigenetically. The pattern that has been running for 3, 5, 7 generations meets a point of conscious contact in you, and the signal changes. The volume knob turns. The gene that was screaming goes quiet. The gene that was silenced begins to sing. There is a practice I want to offer you now, and it is specific to this understanding. It is not a generic meditation. It is designed to work with the precise mechanism we have been exploring. The dialogue between your conscious awareness and your inherited epigenetic field. Find a comfortable position. You do not need to close your eyes, but soften your gaze. Let the visual field become peripheral rather than focused. Take 3 breaths, and with each exhale, let your attention drop lower in your body. Out of the head, past the throat, into the chest, into the belly, into the pelvis, into the legs. Feel yourself as a column of sensation, alive from crown to sole. Now bring to mind the pattern you identified earlier, the one that feels older than your personal history, the one that seems to have been with you before you had words for it. Do not think about it. Feel for it. Let it show itself as sensation. Where does it live? What is its texture? Is it hot or cold? Dense or hollow? Moving or still? Does it have edges or does it blur into the surrounding tissue? Once you have located it, I want you to do something very specific. Imagine that you can breathe through that area of your body, not into it from outside, but through it, as if the breath enters from behind your spine, moves through the sensation, and exits through the front of your body. In and through, in and through. With each pass of the breath, you are not trying to remove the sensation. You are aerating it. You are introducing oxygen and awareness into a place that has been sealed, compressed, held tight for longer than you have been alive. As you breathe through it, silently acknowledge what it is. You might say inwardly, I feel you. I know you did not start with me. I am here now. You can rest. You do not need to believe in ancestral communication for this to work. What you are doing is sending a neurochemical signal of safety to the precise area of your body where the inherited stress pattern is stored. You are changing the internal environment. And when the internal environment changes, the epigenetic expression changes with it. Stay with this for as long as it holds your attention. You may notice the sensation shift. It may soften, spread, warm, or move to a different location. It may intensify briefly before releasing. All of these are signs that the pattern is responding to conscious contact. You are doing what no one in your line has done before. You are meeting the inherited code with presence rather than perpetuation. When you feel complete, take a full breath and let your awareness expand back to the room around you. Notice how your body feels different from when you began. That difference, however subtle, is the evidence. That is the code updating in real time. Now I want to address something that might be arising as resistance, because this territory can provoke it. Part of you may be thinking, this sounds like I am blaming my ancestors for my problems, or this feels like an excuse to avoid personal responsibility. And I want to be clear, it is neither. Recognizing that you carry inherited patterns is not blame. Your ancestors did not install these programs maliciously. They installed them because they worked. The hypervigilance that makes your life difficult now kept someone alive during a period of genuine danger. The scarcity mindset that limits your abundance now helped someone survive an actual famine. The emotional shutdown that prevents intimacy now protected someone from a grief that would have destroyed them. These patterns are not flaws. They are monuments to survival. They deserve respect even as they are released. And recognizing them is not an excuse. It is the opposite. It is the deepest form of responsibility. Because once you see that a pattern is inherited rather than chosen, you also see that you are the one who gets to choose now. Not your grandmother, not your great-grandfather. You are the conscious point in the line. You are the one with the awareness to see the code and the freedom to respond to it differently. That is not a reduction of responsibility. It is an enormous expansion of it. There is a concept in physics called symmetry breaking. In the early universe, all forces were unified, indistinguishable, operating as one. As the universe cooled, symmetries broke, and distinct forces emerged. Gravity, electromagnetism, the strong and weak nuclear forces. Each symmetry break was a moment of differentiation, a moment where what had been one thing became something more specific, more defined, more capable of creating complex structures. Without symmetry breaking, there would be no atoms, no stars, no life. The universe became creative by breaking its own uniformity. You are a symmetry break in your ancestral line. The patterns that ran as one undifferentiated force through generation after generation are meeting a point of differentiation in you. You are the place where the uniform becomes specific, where the automatic becomes chosen, where the inherited becomes consciously held. And just as the symmetry breaks of the early universe made complexity possible, your break from the inherited pattern makes new forms of life possible, forms that your lineage has been reaching toward but could not achieve until someone in the line woke up enough to choose them. This is not grandiosity. This is physics applied to biography. Every lineage reaches a point where the accumulated weight of inherited patterns either crushes the next generation or catalyzes a transformation. The fact that you are feeling the weight is not a sign that you are failing. It is a sign that you are the catalyst. The pressure you feel is the pressure of emergence. Something is trying to be born through you that has never existed in your line before. And here is what makes this moment in history unlike any that came before. You have access to the science. You have access to the contemplative practices. You have access to the understanding that bridges both. Your ancestors who carried these patterns had no framework for seeing them as patterns. They experienced them as reality. The fear was not a program, it was the world. The scarcity was not a setting, it was the truth. They could not step back from the code because they did not know they were running code. You do. You can see the program and the programmer. You can feel the inherited reaction and choose a different response. You can honor the survival intelligence of your line while updating it for the world you actually live in. Consider coming back to this video each morning for the next 7 days. Let it work on a different layer each time, because what you hear on the second or third listen will not be what you heard the first time. Your nervous system will be in a different state, and different parts of the ancestral code will surface for conscious contact. And if someone comes to mind as you listen, someone you know who has been carrying a weight that does not seem to belong to their own story, share this with them. When you pass this understanding to another person, you are not just forwarding a video. You are extending the same signal of conscious awareness through the collective field. And that act of sharing reinforces the very epigenetic shift you are initiating in yourself. The healing moves through connection. It always has. This is the convergence, the science of epigenetics confirming what the wisdom traditions always knew. The quantum understanding of observation and measurement illuminating why conscious awareness is the most powerful tool you have. The biological reality of transgenerational inheritance giving substance to the intuition that you are more than your personal history. It all points to the same truth. You are not an isolated individual struggling with private problems. You are a node in a vast network of consciousness that stretches backward and forward through time. And the quality of your attention right now is the most powerful signal in that network. Let me tell you what happens when someone truly steps into this understanding. Not intellectually, somatically, in the body. The first thing that changes is the relationship to difficult emotions. When you understand that some of what you feel is ancestral, the emotions stop being evidence of your brokenness and become information from the field. Anxiety is no longer your anxiety. It is a signal that has been traveling through your line, looking for someone awake enough to receive it consciously and respond to it with something other than more anxiety. Grief is no longer your failure to move on. It is the accumulated sorrow of people who never had the space or safety to grieve fully, and it is arriving in you because you are the first one in the line who can hold it. The emotion does not shrink, but your relationship to it transforms. You become the container rather than the contained. The second thing that changes is the relationship to purpose. When you realize that you are the conscious tip of a lineage that has been building toward this moment for generations, the question of what am I here for takes on a different weight. You are not here to fulfill a personal ambition. You are here to complete something that has been in progress for longer than any single life. The gifts you have, the ones that came easily, the ones you did not earn. Those are ancestral investments. Skills and sensitivities that were developed over generations and concentrated in you. The challenges you face, the ones that seem unfairly large, those are ancestral debts. Unfinished business that the line is asking you to resolve. Your purpose is not separate from your inheritance. It is the fulfillment of it. The third thing that changes, and this is the one that catches people off guard, is the relationship to the future. When you understand that your inner state is a biological signal that shapes epigenetic expression, you realize that every moment of genuine transformation you experience is being encoded, not just in your memory, in your cells, in the information that your body will pass forward through every interaction, every relationship, every child, if you have them, every person whose nervous system co-regulates with yours. You are not just living your life. You are composing a message to the future. And the content of that message is determined not by what you achieve, but by what you become. This is the ancestral power that is waking up, not a supernatural force descending from above, a biological intelligence ascending from within. The accumulated wisdom of every ancestor who survived, who adapted, who found a way through, is encoded in your body. And it has been waiting, patiently, across generations, for someone in the line to develop enough consciousness to access it not as automatic programming, but as deliberate resource. You are that someone, not because you are special in the way the ego wants to be special, but because you are here, and you are aware, and you are willing to feel what most people spend their entire lives running from. That willingness is the key. That willingness is what turns inherited code into ancestral power. That willingness is what your bloodline has been building toward. The next time you feel something ancient move through you, a fear with no name, a longing with no object, a knowing with no source, do not push it away. Do not pathologize it. Do not medicate it into silence. Turn toward it. Breathe through it. Let it know that someone is finally here. Someone is finally listening. Someone is finally awake enough to receive the message and strong enough to carry it forward in a new way. Because that is what you are. You are the ancestor your descendants will feel in their bones. You are the turning point they will carry in their cells. You are the one who broke the pattern, not by force, but by presence. Not by escaping the inheritance, but by meeting it with the one thing it has been waiting for across all those generations of unconscious repetition. Your attention, your willingness, your conscious, breathing, fully embodied awareness. That is the power that is waking up. It has always been yours. It has always been in you. And now, finally, you are ready to feel it, to claim it, to let it reshape not just your life, but the entire trajectory of your line. Stay with this. Let it work in you. And if something in these words stirred something you cannot quite name, something that felt older than you and larger than you and somehow exactly like you, trust that feeling. It is not your imagination. It is your blood remembering what your mind never knew. And it is the beginning of everything your lineage has been waiting for. If this reached something deep in you, something that felt like recognition rather than information, subscribe to this channel. Not for content, for continued contact with this frequency. Leave a word in the comments, one word that describes what you felt while listening. And share this with someone who you sense is carrying something inherited, something heavy, something ready to shift. Because this work does not happen in isolation. It moves through connection. It always has. And the fact that you are here means you are already part of how it moves.